What's up, people? It's your boy Levelhead back with another Live and Level Gamers podcast. Got the Sunday crew -2 in the building, starting with the one and only New York. Go ahead, man.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Glad to be back. Jedi Knight. How's everyone?
Oh, good, man. I'm gonna have to start saying Germany. That don't sound as good.
Not the same, bro.
Yeah, it don't have
You gotta be like Deutschland.
I like that.
Go ahead, Black Captain America.
Yo, what's up, y'all? K-Bomb 20 ready to get it in today. What's popping? Let's do this.
Captain America. Anyway, this is your boy Levelhead, and this is a Live and Level Gamers podcast. We're here to talk nothing but games. It's not going to be, I'm not going to say that because we end up being long every time I say that.
Yeah, y'all missed the football. Football here today, so don't say nothing but games.
Yeah, man. So anyway, we got Jedi Knight. It's been a minute. How you been, bro?
Everything's good, brother, man. Slow motion now. I'm on my vacation, so, I'm enjoying the time.
Okay. All right. Hopefully you've been gaming on something because that's what's about to go next. But what's been good? What's been going on, y'all? What's been going on? What's happening? What's outside of gaming? Anything going on?
Actually, I've just been heavy onto these cryptocurrencies and decentralized platforms. Things that I was texting you guys about a few days ago. I actually got a D2K Prime up on this platform called Steemit. Steemit is like a Reddit / Twitter platform, but you actually get paid for posting your content. So if you post something and people upvote it or click a thumbs up, you actually can generate money like that. Same thing with post, and it's something brand new. And I've just been going super Terminator mode in that realm. And I haven't been gaming much because I've just been so focused on that. The last thing that I actually gamed on was Batman the Telltale series. I'm on episode 5 and still have not ended this game.
Yeah, man. I actually, when you started editing us and all of that, I went and I watched like several videos on crypto coins and stream. What is it? Streambit or bit streaming or something like that. The stream.
Is it a streaming service?
You call it was some name you just said D2K on it.
BitConnect?
Yeah. That whatever what you were telling us to upload our videos to generate currency. What is that called?
That's called Steemit. That's the platform that D2K Prime just joined.
Yeah, I was looking into that. I looked into the crypto coins. I looked into how you transfer them to dollars and all that, man. And I was like, dude, I might have to do this. So I had that one question for you because I watched the video and it was kind of talking about how people, how the government trying to get their cut. But yeah, I'm interested, man. I'm definitely interested. So D2K already jumped up before me, huh?
Yeah, D2K Prime already doing his thing. I put up a video yesterday. I think I got about 20 views and I already made close to $80.
Oh my God, man. Well, I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to jump on that, man. I'm just researching a little bit more to find out all how it works, so I make sure I'm good on my end. But I definitely appreciate the heads up. And K-Ball, that might be something you might need to get look into, man.
For sure. I'll take a look at it. I had my ins and my outs going on this week, so I didn't got a chance to check any of that stuff out. But
do it! Just do it! Just do it!
Anyway.
For sure.
So anyway, let's get it in, man. Any sports related thing, man? Y'all been keeping up with all the trades and all that stuff before we jump into these games?
Some NBA trades, man. That stuff is crazy going on right now, man.
Yeah, dude. Paul George to the Thunder, CP3 to Houston. Carmelo might be coming to Cavs. Wade might be coming to the Cavs. There's a lot going on, bro.
I think you'll rather have Wade than Carmelo. You don't want Carmelo on your team.
Man, I don't know about that, man. We got to talk offline on that.
Man,
I don't know, because
Melo
Melo that scoring machine, bro.
That's what I'm saying though. You already got one guy. Carmelo don't score from pick and roll. Carmelo don't score. He scores off of having the ball in his hand and then him making the move. But when you already have a player like that in Kyrie, and you may not. And why the Warriors work so well is because all four of their stars can score without having the ball in their hands. What's going to happen is LeBron and Kyrie both score with the ball in their hands, and you're going to have an issue with Carmelo because it's going to be another player that likes to score with the ball in his hand. So that's why I say it may be an issue. Whatever, man. You know it's the truth.
I believe man.
I believe I can fly.
I believe we gonna do it. So stop giving me all these horns, man. Anyway, I hope they get both. You ain't finna kill my hype for Carmelo coming to the Cavs.
I'm killing it, bro.
You ain't finna do it, man. All these harps and horns you playing over here.
Well, Carmelo should have left. No, he should have went the first time. when they asked him the first time down in Miami.
Right, you're right. I give you that. I would ask Jedi how about them Jets, but I know from the gate he's gonna do this on me.
Don't do it.
Thank you, K-Ball.
All right, so let's get it in, man. So Jedi, you already said what you've been gaming on. You kind of reiterate what that was, then we move to K-Ball. What was it again?
I've been playing Batman, the Telltale series, and I'm on the last episode. I'm halfway through the last episode, and I have not been able to push my way through to completion. I have Guardians of the Galaxy version. I got that set up, and I'm just waiting to finish Batman. And I also got the Uncharted. I finished the first game. I'm in the middle of the second one, and I've been on something crazy. And it's like I'm on vacation and got all this time, and I just been doing other things except that.
Okay. That's what's up. So do you like it? Is it because Telltale more story driven than real gameplay, right?
Yeah, a lot of people who don't really like the what is it called? The time action, the quick time events.
Yeah.
The story driven. That is kind of like my speed. I'm the casual gamer. I like the story behind it. It's kind of like you're playing, but you're also watching a cool, if you will, and there's just times where you interact. But I think the Batman version is pretty good. I like the way they set it up. There was some, twists and turns in the story. I thought they did well with it. For the most part, I think Telltale does really well with the different stories that they pick up. The one that I think was the least exciting was the Minecraft story mode. One of their best. The best one by far was Borderlands. Borderlands is absolutely fantastic. Borderlands, that Telltale game, was the reason why I even purchased Borderlands, the actual game. That is how epic that Telltale game.
Well, that's dope.
Yeah. That if anybody, and plenty of people have played Borderlands, but if you have not played the Telltale version of Borderlands, do it. Like, K-Bomb, if you can do me a favor and just play that snippet, do it. You should play it.
All right, I have to check it out then. I know I played it.
Do it!
Thank you, sir.
I know I played the Borderlands game. I never finished it because I had the PlayStation 4 version. But yeah, I have to check it out on the Telltale. And I know I have pieces of that Walking Dead one, but I haven't played all the way through yet. I just played like a couple 15, 20 minutes of it.
Yeah, I played the first three, the 400 Days, season 1 and season 2. I haven't picked up season 3 yet. I'm going to do that after I finish Batman and Guardians of the Galaxy. But Walking Dead was the first one. And how I got into it was when they won Game of the Year.
Right.
Like, this game won what? Game of the Year? On my Xbox 360. And I was like, okay, I understand.
Okay.
Game,
okay.
Yeah, they're dope.
Okay, that's what's up. I mean, it's just one of them games, man. I be hearing a lot about. It's just when I hear the type of gameplay it is, it makes me feel like, do I want to invest in or not? But listening to you, it might be something good to watch with your wife, and you know what I'm saying, something like that to kind of draw you both in and kind of allow you to play games without getting clowned. So go so go ahead, K-Bun. What you been gaming on, man? I know one of them is Overwatch, because I heard about that situation.
Yeah. I'm still on that Overwatch, man. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know, man. It just scratches that first person shooter itch, you know, that I use Call of Duty to fix, but now Overwatch fixes it. So I don't invest any time or any money really in the Call of Duty. You know, I did buy the retro version. I bought the new one just to get the Call of Duty 4 version, but I end up not liking it. So I'm still playing that. Still playing FIFA, the online mode, the team play mode, which is still legit. I like doing that. And I've been spending time on The Witcher. I've jumped back into that world, trying to beat that game, man. Because the story just like Jedi was saying, the story is so rich, man. I can't pass it up, man. I got to get on that story. Because I'm in love with the character. The Witcher is a dynamic character, and then the people around him are dynamic. I can't get enough of the story, so that's why I keep jumping back, even though this is the most time I've ever spent on any single player game ever.
That's quite the endorsement, K-Ball.
Man, I hate RPGs, man. Like and the thing is,
and the All-Star goes to.
You hate them, man. No, seriously, it fits two of the categories that I hate. Sorry, not that I hate, that I dislike. One is RPG. Two is fantasy settings. And so the fact that the game fits two of those genres that I do not like, and I'm still playing it, means it's a really good game.
Man. Kissing up to that game, boy. I tell you the truth. Anyway,
this boy's a hater.
What else? So Witcher, Overwatch, no Madden, no Tekken, no.
No, I haven't played Tekken. Haven't played Tekken in a while. And I haven't touched Madden. I'm ready for the new Madden to come out. It's time.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, for me, I played a lot of Tekken yesterday. I went over one of my boys' house here. I went over to King Cooper's house, K-Ball. And
for sure.
Yeah, me and him got it in, and he had never played the Tekken game, so I took it over there. And of course, he was on Akuma, and you know I had to own him up a little bit. So I tried to get on with K-Bun 20, but all excuses talking about he ain't at home and all this type of stuff. So he didn't want to get it in. He didn't want this thrashing.
Well,
so
you already knew where
good.
I was.
Yeah. I know. Oh, yes, right. That's right. My bad. So yeah, man. But outside of that, I went and saw Transformers 5 and the last night.
we need that sound bite that says don't.
It's one of these moments, man. It's so bad. It was so bad, man. I fell asleep in the movie 3 or 4 times, and I caught other people falling asleep in the movie. This movie is 10 times worse than the other one before it, than the 4th one. Transformers, what was the one before this one called?
Dark Side of the Moon, something like that?
No, not Dark Side. That's 3. Dark Side of the Moon is 3. What's the name of this one? That's when they found the old dude, the red, that turned into like.
You're right. That was
Transformers.
Man, it doesn't even matter, man.
It matters. I got to do this, man. I got to find out which one this is. But yeah. Anyway, I'll find out in a second. But dude, I don't know who allowed that script to get past the studio's approval, but Michael Bay doesn't need to touch another Transformers, man, at all. And I know that's not what we're here to talk about, but when you watch this movie, man, do not go spend your money on this movie. Do not go to the theater and watch this movie. Wait till this movie come on Netflix. Wait till this movie come on HBO or some subscription where you don't even rent this movie. This movie is so bad it was embarrassing. That's how bad it was.
Age of Extinction.
They changed the
Age of Extinction.
It made Age of Extinction look like the first Transformers. That's how bad it was.
Wow, that's crazy.
And what's his name? Anthony Hopkins, is that his name? Antonio Hopkins. Which one is it?
Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, he's in it. Dude, he couldn't save it. As good as he is as an actor, there was nothing he could do to this movie to save it. He looked horrible in this movie. Mark Wahlberg looked horrible in this movie. Yeah. The black guy was just there to be the black guy. He had no purpose for the movie. He was just there. He didn't have no plot point, no relevance, no importance. Bumblebee was stupid. All the other Transformers outside of Optimus Prime and Megatron were stupid. They didn't even explain.
Didn't D2K tell you not to see this movie?
But he hadn't saw it. I had to go see it for myself. See, I had to go and get firsthand eyewitness. I just couldn't go off what folks are saying. So, dude, if you take the two Transformers from Transformers 2, the two gangster Transformers, right? All the other Transformers are basically outside of Optimus Prime and Megatron is those Transformers. Anyway, I can't. But let's get into it. All I'm gonna say is, and I'm gonna let K-Bum take over because my wife's trying to call me, so I need to take this call. But do not go see Transformers. Go ahead, K-Bum. Don't go see it, man.
No, man. What I was gonna say, man. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see, but Jedi, did you get a chance to see that Power Ranger movie?
That's funny because I was just about to say that exact thing. I seen it this past week.
You saw the Power Ranger movie this week. What did you think about that one?
It wasn't bad, actually. You know, it didn't feel like a AAA movie. Cool thing about it, though, it seemed like they had a lot of new, actors. It kind of felt like between a B movie and an A movie, but I thought that the overall movie wasn't bad.
Man, I would have to disagree a little bit on that one because what I saw this movie as, and it could be because I'm getting old. I'm known looking in my 20s, and so the whole time watching this movie, I'm thinking to myself, and I was talking to my wife, I'm like, where y'all parents at? The whole time watching this movie, like, who letting y'all out the house right now? And I'm looking at daytime, like, ain't y'all supposed to be in class? Like, the whole time I'm watching this movie, man, I'm like, just critiquing it, man. I'm talking to my wife, like, am I old? That's why I feel this way? That's why I'm saying this stuff like this? And so I'm watching the movie, and it felt like such a teenage melodrama.
Yeah.
So how they had all the people, and they have all their issues, and the movie was, to me, felt like just teenage rebellion. Just let's take mom's car and drive out to this spot, and let's blow stuff up, and let's show the adults that we can do it. That we don't need adults. We're about rebellion. That's how I felt in the movie, and so it kind of took away from me actually enjoying the movie. Was that all I saw with this? It could be a element of me, you know, getting older and seeing things from a different point of view. But I just saw it just like this huge teenage melodrama movie where, you know, they over dramatize a lot of things but wasn't even necessary. Like the whole girl cutting her hair before she walked back in class to show her rebellion. You know, I didn't.
Yeah, when they were in that the detention dorm.
Yeah,
dude.
Like, I didn't.
I haven't seen Power Rangers yet, but I doubt it was in any way near close to how horrible Transformers.
No. It wasn't a bad movie, and Jedi said it wasn't a bad movie. Like you said, it was in between a B movie and an A movie. Like it wasn't a bad movie, but man, it was some cheesy scenes in that movie. Good Lord, it was some cheesy scenes, and it was kind of cringeworthy. Some of those scenes, just watching them. I mean, but other than that, man, it was cool. It didn't feel like the old school Power Rangers, but it wasn't like, me and my wife, we sat down, we talked about it for like 15 minutes. We were saying, you know, it wasn't a bad movie, just wasn't that good.
Yeah, you wouldn't have left Power Rangers thinking that it was as bad as Transformers. You wouldn't have did that.
Oh no. Nah. You said you just say yourself, that was cool.
What'd you say?
I said you'd have walked out the movie theater saying that was okay. That was a cool movie. Yeah.
Yeah, those are one of those movies where you don't necessarily have to see it in the movie theaters, but if you saw it on like Blu-ray or DVD, you'd be good to go.
Okay. I don't know why it's not loading up, but okay, forget it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, it seems like everything paused on my end. But anyway, no, man, I'm going to say this. If you know anything about the backdrop, the lore, the storyline, the history of Transformers, I know they've been jacking it up already, but it seems like Michael Bay is trying his best to sabotage any more Transformers. That's what it looked like it was trying to do to me. Like, I heard his contract is up with the direction of the movies, if I'm not mistaken. I heard that this was supposed to be his last Transformer, but they set it up for another Transformers. Like the end of the movie had like another setup for another Transformers, but it was so bad and so atrocious and so off from. It's literally like they changed the roles of characters. It was bad. It was bad. And the storylines, it's like 5 different storylines in one movie. They don't explain how Megatron came back. They don't explain how Optimus Prime went the way he went. They don't explain where this particular person he ran into came from. They don't explain nothing, bro. Nothing is explained. It's just, you don't understand why Anthony Hopkins' character there, they go all the way, I can't tell you the story, but it's so bad, I'm willing to ruin it for you just so you don't go see it. That's how bad it is, man. But they play off anyway, I don't want to spoil it, but it ain't worth your dollars, man. It ain't worth nothing but a free, and I wouldn't even waste my time watching it for free. That's how bad it was. But anyway, let's get into this, man. Unless anybody else got something to say on that before we move on to this first topic.
The only thing that I'd have to say on that is that I have never heard Anthony Hopkins and bad movie in the same sentence until Michael Bay had something to do with it.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, there was nothing this dude could do to redeem this movie. There was nothing he could do to rectify it. His acting was on point, but they gave him nothing to act on. They gave him no dialogue. He was just in the movie. And the black guy, I can't think of his name right now. The one that he had a TV show that he just quit because they didn't air one of his shows. Can't think of his name.
Talking about Tyrese. Was Tyrese in there again? Talking about
No, he replaced Tyrese because I'm pretty sure Tyrese read the script and said, "Heck no, I'm not doing this movie."
Nick Cannon?
Huh?
Nick Cannon?
No, it wasn't Nick Cannon, but it might have. I mean, I don't think Nick Cannon couldn't have made him no worse than it was. Just put it like that, man. I can't think of his name right now. He a comedian, he a new guy. But I promise you, he was just there just to be a black face, to say we had a black character in it that played somewhat of a co-star. That's it. He wasn't Tyrese. Dude had no relevance to the story. Anthony Hopkins had little to no relevance to the story. Optimus Prime was less of a factor than Bumblebee. Let me say this. I say this one thing, and this will put it in perspective. They made Bumblebee the war hero that took out Hitler.
They had Nazis in Transformers?
They went back in the past to show how before you met Bumblebee, Bumblebee was a war hero back in those days, man. He and another Transformer took out Hitler. Yes, they did that, bro.
Wait, hold on.
They did that.
I gotta watch this trailer because I don't have any information on this movie, but Level, you're making it sound like one of the worst movies ever created, bro.
Wait,
bro, it is. Hey, it is an atrocity, man. It's a monstrosity.
You just said Bumblebee was. You say he killed Hitler? What you just?
Bumblebee was a war hero during World War II. Him and a camp of Transformers took out Hitler. Leonardo da Vinci might have been a Transformer. Marlon the Magician got his powers from Transformers. Dude, this movie was so retarded, man. I'm telling you, man. I'm trying not to spoil it. Dragons were Transformers. Get you not. Dude, this movie was horrible, man. It's like it made literally. You know what? Forget it. I'm sorry. I'm trying to save y'all from going to watch this crap. Y'all know that it was a Utron, the Transformer that was basically a floating head. What was it? It was a Utron? How do you say that? Ultron or Utron?
I know Ultron, but that's the Avengers.
No, it's if you're in the comment section and you know about Transformers, tell me about that. Y'all would know what I'm talking about. The floating head that in the comic and the cartoon, when Optimus Prime kind of died and he went there and they kind of Unicron. I think that Unicron. That's how you say it. Unicron. Unicron.
Thanks, Aries.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Aries 73. Unicron. If you know anything about Unicron, he ain't a good. He's a world devourer, if I'm not mistaken. And I can't remember the story of the actual comic, but he wasn't a good thing. He was a bad thing, and you didn't want it to come back. Well, they made Unicron Earth. Before Earth was Earth, it was Unicron.
Wait, what? Man, let's talk about games, man. Let's talk about games.
I'm just telling you, man.
So the Switch, what about the Switch?
Dude, it was so freaking bad, man. It was so bad. Anyway, let's get to this. What's the name of that game? Plague what? I just had it up. I lost it.
A plague tale.
A Plague Tale. Let me look up this article. Plague Tale is not coming to the Switch. Let me read it. This is on Gaming Bolt. This is what was this, K-Bun? Was it Saturday or when was this?
The 30th. So that was what, Friday or something?
Yeah. So anyway, according to GameBot, the developers behind a Plague Tale Innocence says the Switch isn't powerful enough to do justice to our game. Now, this is coming on the heels of Steep having problems being ported over to the Switch. And this has caused not a lot of controversy because I don't think many people know anything about this game, but it gave us an opportunity to open the door for us to talk about what I called this podcast, Same Story, New System. And I'm going to throw this to Jedi Knight first. First of all, knowing what you know about scalability and all that, how do you feel when you hear developers say this type of stuff? Like, where do you go mentally as a gamer, an informed gamer, when you hear this type of stuff? Go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna keep this 100% right now. I used to blame developers a lot when I hear this type of rhetoric, given the fact that you can indeed scale a game. Not all games have to be equal across all platforms. And indeed they're not, because you have games on PC that are, way ahead of what you can typically get on consoles. This is the problem. I cannot make excuses for Nintendo anymore. If Nintendo want to have these third-party games available on their system, they know what they have to do, right? And they're just not doing it. There's no excuse. There's no excuse for it. That's my answer in a nutshell. Nintendo dropped the ball on it. They should have made a more powerful system. They have a system that the concept is great, but look, a developer can, scale the game down to 720p, 30 frames a second, and have it run. But developers don't want to do that. And if developers don't want to do that, and Nintendo is not going to take the time or take the money to publish the game, then the people who are buying these consoles, in particular Nintendo consoles, are going to have this issue. So this is a Nintendo issue. It's not a developer issue because the developers are putting their content on other consoles. So sooner or later, I got to look at Nintendo.
Fair. I agree. So, K-Bomb, go ahead and give your piece.
Man, I like the way Jedi hit on that, because a lot of times we do throw shade at developers and saying that it's all their fault, it's all their fault, and there is a level of blame that can be given to developers, but kind of how Sony knew they had an issue with. Wasn't the power of the PS3, but kind of the architecture of the PS3 and how it was created. And so in order for them to not allow third party to have that argument, saying that it's too hard to program for your system, so they didn't make certain games for it, or some of the games lacked, that they got rid of the argument. They went to a very similar architecture framework, and then gave developer what they wanted, and gave them what they wanted as developers. And they still have their own issues, complaints about 1080p, 60 frames per second. But you don't hear that rhetoric anymore about Sony's system being too hard to develop for. And Jedi, he made me look at a different point of view, is that if Nintendo wanted to get rid of this rhetoric of people continue to say that your system is not powerful enough, your system is not powerful enough, your system is not powerful enough, then go out and fix that power issue, and then still be able to do your Nintendo twist with it. And what I see a lot of time is that, and I don't want to make this a Nintendo issue, but what I see a lot of time with Nintendo is that they make consoles for their IPs first and third party second. And then when third parties goes and trying to make their game on the system, there's something that's probably lacking. When you look at like NBA Playgrounds, that game is lacking Online. You look at FIFA, it doesn't have the Ignite engine, and you know there's definitely a good amount of blame needs to be thrown on developers. But I want to talk about this, but I think we're going to have another conversation that we're going to talk about developers and parity. I think we're going to talk about that later, so I don't want to dip and dive into that conversation. But there's only so much the developer can do that to make the game fit on the system that may, you know, sacrifice the integrity of their game. Because yeah, you can scale things down, but you don't want to hurt the integrity of the game by trying to scale something down just to fit some on a certain system. So I think there's some blame that should be thrown on developers, because this is starting to become the same story. But you know, it's what they said was they looked at it, they ran the numbers, they crunched it, and then you can take what they said as a grain of salt, saying okay, they probably are not telling the truth, or maybe they're lying on some of the figures that they're saying. But they say looked at it, they ran the numbers, and what they want to what they want to represent as their game, that when looking at the Switch, is not powerful enough to run what their vision of the game should be. And so they're at this point, they're not going to do it. So, I mean, I side with Jedi. I think he made an excellent argument. Kind of changed what I was going to say, actually.
Thank you, sir.
This is what I was going to say. I agree with Jedi that Nintendo is out the ballpark of blame. Nintendo can't, what fans of Nintendo, myself included, can't continue to do is always find a door to let Nintendo walk through and sit in and avoid all the criticism that is levied, and let third party be the only people that get our criticism. Nintendo deserves criticism, but, and I'm going to criticize Nintendo, but my only pushback is this was the same narrative that we heard with the GameCube. No, not the GameCube, but well, some of this with the GameCube, but definitely the Wii and the Wii U. And I understood with the Wii, but we heard it with the Wii U is not going to be able to we're not going to be able to realize our vision for the game while you're putting the game on less powerful platforms. While you're putting the game on 360, while you're putting the game on the PlayStation 3, the Wii U wasn't going to be able to realize your vision for the game. It's not powerful enough while being more powerful than systems that you put the game on. So, and putting games that they said they couldn't bring to Nintendo system on mobile phone. So we have heard this narrative, but like you said, like Jedi Knight said, and like K-Bump echoed, Nintendo still didn't address the one thing that always gets them in, that always is used to exclude them out of getting whatever is not coming. It's not powerful enough. It's not enough. The user base is not big enough, which they can't say that now because the Switch is selling like crazy. So but you can't use that now is when it's not powerful enough to realize our vision. Well, I'm fine with them not putting the game on there, but just say we don't feel like doing it because we don't think we're going to make our money back. Because that's what I believe is the real issue. It ain't really vision or what we want the game to be, because we've seen these developers contradict what they said. I think is they don't believe that they're going to make the money back that's going to take to put in the game to bring it to the Switch. I would rather them say that than to make all these other excuses. But at the same time, Jedi is right on the money. Until Nintendo removes the trump card that they use all the time, which I don't think it will work even if they remove it. They'll find some other excuse, because I think the main reason is they don't think they're going to make their money on it. So they don't think this fan base, and I'm starting to take it as a serious ordeal, they don't think this fan base is going to buy those type of games. But they can't just say we don't think you're going to buy those, because that'd cause a a storm of criticism. So you say, well, we can't realize the vision. So I don't believe that, but at the same time, Jedi is right on the money. Nintendo has to take ownership and blame because you choose to go down this route with your platform, and you know what people are going to use to hold back titles, which I don't really care about. I don't know nothing about this title, so I can't say I'm mad at it not coming. I don't know to be mad because I don't know enough about it to care. But it's a good. I'm just being honest. I just want to talk about. Like I said, I'm using this to open the door to us, this podcast, actually talking about this from this angle. So, but yeah, Jedi, you bring up an interesting take. I agree with it. I've been on that bandwagon where you can't absolve Nintendo all the time. Nintendo has partial, if not more, blame because it's their platform. They chose to make it that way. So they have to live with the consequences of making the platform the way that they made it with the tech that they made it, that they put in it. So Nintendo has to take ownership of that. Go ahead.
Meaning me level, Jedi?
Yeah. You didn't take on.
Yeah, I mean, to reiterate, I think that Nintendo simply has to, fix that. And what you said earlier about the developers feeling that like they may not make their money back, I mean, it's a legitimate concern, though I will say that when they do put their products on Nintendo systems, they do not support it. It's usually, half-ass work. It's incomplete. You don't get DLC, and it usually comes out months after the initial release. So you can't do everything possible to sabotage your game and then turn around and say that it's the Nintendo customer that's not buying it. Think about it. Nintendo customers or consumers, if they want to play third-party games, they have to have a second system, maybe even a third system, whether it's PC or another console. If you are, as a developer, decide that on you're going to release a game, right? And you're not going to release the Nintendo version until sometime in September, then you're giving me months to play this game on another console. When I purchased it on a Nintendo console, even if the graphics weren't even there, right? You would have given me that option to play it when it was actually new. You would have been able to give me a choice. I'm not going to buy the game twice, right? I'm not going to do that. And even if it was a stripped down version, maybe what was stripped down is not necessarily something that I would be interested in to begin with. I'll give you an example with FIFA. We're not going to get their new Frostbite engine. We're going to get the old Ignite engine, I believe, right? Yeah. That may not be a problem for me. Not having story mode, if it was like Madden, that would be a problem for me because I've been thirsting for any sort of story mode in a football game. I've been thirsting for a football game outside of Madden, period. Different story though. But the developers, they can't piss on the party and then blame the person that was pissed on. It's like, come on. You can't do
that. Right. You're right. That's my point. It's like, okay, I don't know if it's D2K said who came first, the egg or the chicken or the bird, or how he put out a chick. It's something he used. I heard that statement before. Then that's the problem we having with this. We don't know who is causing the problem first. Is it third party causing the problem first, or is it Nintendo? You know what I'm saying? Like, Nintendo is making the platform, right? Nintendo is choosing the direction of the architecture. Nintendo is choosing to limit or configure it in the way that works for them. And the K-Bomb was right on the money. And K-Bomb, you can come in when I get done. Nintendo does make their hardware for themselves. That's smart because their content drives their hardware. Third party doesn't drive Nintendo's hardware, but at the same time, Nintendo needs to be cognizant and conscious and willing to acquiesce to a sense on some aspects of what third party is expecting. Don't make your system so weaker, or which I don't know if that's the case with the Switch or not. I don't know how much weaker the Switch is to the Xbox One. I don't know. I don't develop games, so we could be told anything and that not necessarily be the case, because I see games on the Switch that look freaking ridiculous. I saw games on the Wii U that look ridiculous and I saw games on the PlayStation 4 that, while maybe being scaled down, could have played on the Wii U if they took the time to optimize it and make it. But I feel like that's where the hang up is. We don't want to work that hard for you. And it goes back to, no matter what Xbox One problems were, they worked that hard to put the game on the Xbox One. No matter how hard it was to develop the games for the PlayStation 3, they still went through the rigors to get the game up in its trashy state on the PlayStation 3. They won't even go through the rigors to get it up on a Nintendo platform. So that says more about the actual company, platform, fan base than anything else, because they putting these games on mobile phones, Apple and Samsungs and all this, but they still choose to skip Nintendo. And it's like, so it's like, is that the problem, or is it Nintendo's? I don't know who to blame more or less. I don't know. That's where I'm kind of lost at with it.
I see what you're saying now, Level, and I think it's a combination of multiple issues. And I think you bring up an excellent conversation about that, because when you're talking about them putting that, they didn't, for some companies, they did not choose not to put a game on the PS3. They just put a poorly rendered or created version of the game on the PS3, but the PS3 still got the game, is what you're referring to, which
right.
In turn, I will agree with that. And the reason why you still put a bad version of the game on the system is because, A, you believe you can get the money back for the time spent. And the reason why for the Nintendo systems, why if you read the article, what they said was they ran the number, they calculated and ran the number, that they're not doing any development on it. They ran the numbers and said, well, this ain't gonna work. There's no point in spending the time. And like they said, they probably could do a lesser version of the game and still be able to get it out to the masses. But then the second part of the argument comes up is, are you going to get the return on that investment? Even though you scale it back and you make it lower, and this is what you were saying, Level, the second part of the conversation falls on the fan base. Will the fan base even buy it once I do make it that scaled down version of the game? We're going to find out with FIFA if people are still going to buy that game. As I said when we saw it in E3, I thought it. I mean, to me, it looks fine. I mean, it's definitely a lesser version, but what I saw that I actually liked was the gameplay didn't look any different than the FIFA that I'm playing on my PS4. Sorry, the gameplay didn't look any different. So, yeah, the graphics wasn't as up to par because it doesn't have the Frostbite engine, which is the newest and best engine out there for EA games, but it still did not look bad. I wouldn't look at that game and say this is terrible. I would say, well, you can play this game. It's actually not bad. But we're going to see if Nintendo's owners, because you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you're going to say that you would play lesser version of the games, then when you get lesser version of the game and you don't buy it, well then don't complain when they stop making it all together. Because you said you would buy a lesser version of the game just to get it on my system, but when they do it, and then you don't buy it, then what's really going on? Is it that you really actually wanted the same version and you're just saying you'll take lesser? Because that's a whole different argument. That's a whole different discussion.
To respond to that, K-Bomb, I absolutely agree with you. But what developers have to do is release the game at the same time. Like, say, for example, if you release a Call of Duty game, right? like Call of Duty Modern Warfare Reflex for the Wii, the Modern Warfare came out. I think it came out after Modern Warfare 2. Call of Duty Black Ops came out the same day as the rest of the systems. And that game sold pretty well on the Wii, and it didn't have DLC, so it was a lesser version than the other ones that they had out. And the game sold. I mean, it's a popular franchise, it's a popular title. I think that what developers can't do is do what Mass Effect did when the Wii came out. You can't release Mass Effect 3 like a year after Mass Effect 3 has already been released. And then after you release Modern Warfare 3 on the Wii U, you release the Mass Effect trilogy on the other consoles. And you have it at the same price, $60, as you have Mass Effect 3, a game that is already a year old. Weeks later, you have the trilogy on other consoles, and then turn around and expect that game to sell. You have an absolutely great point, but the developers are also sabotaging their sales.
100% agree.
Let's look at the company or the studio that's making this game. Is it Asobo? Is that how you say that?
I couldn't tell you exactly how to pronounce it, but that sounds right.
Okay, Asobo Studios. Now, this is a French video game development company based in, I don't know how to say that, France. I say that. Anyway, some of their standout games is Pixar movies, Toy Story 3, Ratatouille, Up, and Wall-E. So the question is, now, I must ask the question, do we really care? And should this studio be getting so much pub? Because they're not. Because to me, the only significant game that they're made that's worth talking about is they developed the crew for the Xbox 360. And from what you told me, K-Bun, the crew wasn't even good. So
they did the 360 version of the crew. You're saying?
Yeah, they did the 360 version of the crew.
Okay.
They did Monopoly for the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Xbox 360. They did Destiny. They did Disney. They did Incredibles, Cars, Up, Toy Story, Ratatouille, Connect, Rush. Dude, this company ain't really done anything.
Yeah, there's no AAA game on their
Recore. They did Recore for Microsoft, and they're doing a Plague's Tale in it. So to me, I don't know if we even should be taking anything they got to say serious anyway, because they're not a serious studio. So maybe they don't have the manpower to do it. I don't know, but I don't know. Go ahead.
I will caution that. The reason why I would caution that is that what they're saying is not a small or big studio problem. It's a all studio problem. Now, big studios have more manpower to throw at it to fix it, but it doesn't mean that they don't experience the same problem. So that's why I want to try to focus on the problem instead of focus on who's saying that there is a problem, because I think that this is a universal issue when we're talking about third-party games. Now, I do think that, like I said, that third-party stuff like EA will have a better job circling around this issue, but we see that evident in EA's game. We do not see Frostbite on the system. You see a lesser version of the game. And so again, what they're saying is about they couldn't get it to run is, and then it echoes the kind of the same issues we heard with Ubisoft and Steep, is that I think the issue may not be tied to a small or big development company, but it may be a universal issue. And that's why I think what they're saying we should understand, but the way they go about resolving it is going to be dictated by that particular development company.
Well, I would say this. I would go so far to say this. The only way we can take that as credible if they're saying that Frostbite is way more capable than Unreal Engine 4, Snowdrop, all these other engines that are equivalent to Frostbite. I just believe, this is me personally, and I say this is me. I won't say this is fact. This is what I believe EA did. I think EA intentionally creates a difference on purpose. I don't think that EA couldn't have put Frostbite on the Switch. I think they don't think they need to or have to because of the fan base and the platform that it's going to. You should be thankful that we are even giving it to you. That to me is EA's position, not that we couldn't do Frostbite. We don't care enough about that particular audience to give you Frostbite. And that's where I'm like, that's where I'm kind of torn. Like, I see Ubisoft using their latest development tools in they're gonna D2K. I guess we gotta talk to anyway. So I see other studios using their latest development tools, maybe at a entry or a middle setting, but they're using it, whereas EA totally opted out of using it at all. But I don't think it was impossible to be used because Unreal Engine 4 is fully usable. The full thing is usable and scalable on the Switch. So I don't think it's a can it run it. I think it's more of, do we care to put the resources into it to make it run on at that level?
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you, and I think some of that is there, but we also have to understand that Madden just got Frostbite this year. So
right,
I know FIFA's been using this, but this is going to be a FIFA on a whole different console with you know, with things going to be different. So it's not like, you know, every EA product had Frostbite. Madden just got redone this season. That ain't out yet, and it's going to have the Frostbite engine when all the other versions did not. What I see is EA, similar to what you're saying, Love, but the EA saw that, you know, we can go ahead and get this over there. But remember, they I think Kong said this in the chat, is that it's not actually in Ignite, that they have a custom what's called it, a custom engine running that FIFA 18 on the Switch. So it's not even Ignite. So I don't. So if they took the time to make a custom one, I don't know if they could they have done Frostbite. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna go too much into it.
Maybe they use Unreal 4. I mean, it seems like that's the only thing that
I don't see EA doing Unreal 4. I see them. They're a custom solution shop. They do their own engines.
Okay, cool.
They're not using other people's engines. They're using, that's what they did with the Ignite and Frostbite. They created their own so they can keep everything in house. They're about making something that they can use in multiple different games and just creating once, and then have other development teams within EA build upon it. So I don't see them even using Unreal Engine, to be honest.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I forgot that Frostbite games like Battlefield. Battlefield is EA. You're right.
Yeah, that's another thing. And Aries73 said, and D2K, you can jump in here after this, that all we heard in the creation of the Switch by multiple studios, including some of the ones we're talking about right now, maybe not this app so whatever it is, that the Switch was very easy to develop for, easy to port over, easy to port from the PC straight to it. So like I said, I think it's more so that Nintendo and its particular sector of the gaming industry is Cinderella. We don't care. We give them whatever we give them, for one, because they most likely going to buy whatever Nintendo makes. Two, we talked about this last time, me, D2K, and Keith Norris. I think you might have been on the K-Bum, where we said, is Nintendo intentionally allowing these things to exist because it works to their favor by not having all these games? That means more of their own first-party titles will sell. so they might not be as urgent about remedying these issues because it play into their hand. They're making money either way it go, whether they sell the most, sell the least. The combination of hardware and software sales and Nintendo first-party IP being the main attraction, Nintendo is sitting on, and I just saw this, Nintendo is sitting on $8 billion of disposable cash, meaning not wrapped up in their what's the word I'm looking for?
Their assets.
Assets. This is not wrapped up in assets. This is disposable, free, can use it however you choose to use it, money. Then Nintendo has $8 billion of it. So they ain't hurting with money. So it could be third party understands Nintendo's business strategy and see how Nintendo likes it like this. They ain't looking to really change it. They create the illusion that they want to change it, but in reality, I don't know if they really do. Because if they wanted to change it, they could have been changed it. But they have made more money since the Wii, and with the combination of the Wii and handhelds, and they first party IP, Nintendo is really making money hand over fist. While it might look dire compared to Sony and Microsoft, in actuality, they making crazy loot. So I don't know. That's what I said. I don't know who to blame, because like Jedi Knight said, this is easily addressed if they want to address it. Go ahead, T2K.
I'm going to say this one last time. I've said this many times on the podcast, and I've said this in many blogs that I've done. Unreal Engine 4 is a tool. It's a tool no different than a fork or a chainsaw or a vacuum cleaner. It's a tool. How the person uses that tool and the talent of the person that uses that tool is where the magic happens. The fact that Unreal Engine 4 runs on the Switch means nothing. You know why? Because Unreal Engine 4 also runs on the Wii U. Unreal Engine 4 also runs on the Xbox 360. And if you want more information about that, you just contact the vice president of Epic Games, Mr. Mark Rain, who said that himself. That if a developer wanted to put a game on the Wii U using Unreal Engine 4, they could. If they wanted to use a game or port a game to the Wii U or the Xbox 360 using Unreal Engine 4, they could. Obviously, the games would not look as good on those consoles as they would as the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4 or PC, but it can still be used to put games on those consoles. Unreal Engine 4 takes whatever power the device that you're using has and maximizes it. So any game on the Switch that uses Unreal Engine 4 will look as good as it possibly can look, meaning that there won't be anything left over if a developer knows what they're doing and they're using Unreal Engine 4. They'll be able to get every drop of juice that the Switch has. The thing is that this is a lateral move, because the same advantages that the Switch will have getting Unreal Engine 4 games, the other consoles get as well. So you're not gaining anything. Everybody gets the same benefit of using that engine. And I'm pretty sure that all the custom-made engines from all the different third parties work in similar ways, whether it be Frostbite, whether it be Luminous, whether it be, any other engine that's out there, Fox engine, what have you. It's just a tool. What matters is what your actual hardware can do. And the Switch hardware is limited. We already know this. We knew this going in, that the Switch is using an antiquated architecture. Can games still look good on the Switch? Absolutely. Games do look good on the Switch. Very good. And I think Nintendo is comfortable where the power level is with the Switch for the types of games that they want to make. And from their perspective, like you just got through saying, Level, that they're doing well in terms of making money on their first party IP. So they're not really concerned so much about third party as a lot of people might think that they are. They have to come out and say things like that because that appeases their investors. They can't come out and say, we can give a rip about third party. We're going to make money off our first party. They can't do that. They have to give the illusion that they're trying to make good with third parties so that their investors will basically stay pacified. But the truth is that if Nintendo cared about third parties at all, the Switch wouldn't exist. Nintendo would have an actual home console comparable in power at the very least to the PlayStation 4 Pro, if not just the PlayStation 4, if they wanted third parties. But but like I was saying in the last podcast, that it really doesn't matter. You can have a console that's more powerful than Xbox One X, and if third parties bring their games over there, there's still a very good possibility that they're not going to sell because traditionally third parties have not done well on Nintendo consoles, regardless if the power was high or low or somewhere in between. If you look around history, the NES was pretty powerful. I mean, you had a couple of consoles that are more powerful than it. I mean, the Sega Master System was more powerful. The 7800 was more powerful, but it was still a powerful system, so they weren't pulling away from it. Third-party support didn't make a whole lot of money. The SNES was the second most powerful console of that generation behind the Neo Geo. Again, third parties did not make a whole lot of money. The N64, we know what happened with that. That was a supremely powerful console, but Nintendo kind of shot themselves in the foot because it basically nerfed the power that the console had because you're using the stupid cartridges. You had this horsepower that you could have took full advantage of if it was a disc-based system, and it would have crushed the PlayStation if it was. But because it was a cartridge, then that kind of just, leveled things out. And there were some games on the PlayStation that actually performed better because they had that extra space on the CD. I was just looking at a video the other day. There were these people were trying to compare Mortal Kombat Trilogy on the N64 to the PlayStation, and the people were complaining about the loading times of the PlayStation version. I was like, well, it did have a little bit of a loading time before the start of the match, but there was no loading times in the actual gameplay itself. So what are you complaining about? The sound was leaps and bounds better on the PlayStation version of that game, and the graphics were about the same. So, that's an example right there of how that cartridge hurt Nintendo back then. And keep going on with the GameCube. The GameCube was powerful, and third-party support was good. It was sparse, but it was better.
It was decent.
It was decent. But again, you look at the top 20 best-selling games, you see very few third parties in there. And it got much worse with the Wii, and it's gotten much worse since then. So it's more or less a financial situation also, because they're like, why are we spending all this money extra to develop a different version for Nintendo's console, or to take a version we already have and try to shoehorn it into Nintendo's hardware where we may not even make any money in the first place? If the console was just a regular console and it was powerful, then third parties were like, well, okay, it's not so much of a risk because we can just drag and drop. If people think that because it's easy to port games over to the Switch, that it's easy to develop games for the Switch. The two are completely different conversations. You can put the game on the Switch, but getting it to run and to optimize it are two completely different things. And I think people keep missing that point. So I don't see anything changing with third-party support. I think Nintendo, what they should do is double down with their first-party and second-party studios so they can fill the blanks of third-party support that's not going to come.
Right. And I'm in agreement, because when you said something that made me think about my own purchasing habits when it comes to Nintendo, and I just had to be honest. If there is a quality first-party title there alongside a third-party title when it comes to the Switch or any Nintendo platform that I own, I'm probably going to buy Nintendo's game. Yep. And I think, like you said, D2K, most of us think like that. Depending on the options and the offering, I'm not going to buy Call of Duty over Smash. For the
Right.
Switch.
But you look at some third-party games, you would buy the third-party
I
games
would if they can't.
if you own the PlayStation or an Xbox console, you would buy some third-party games over some of their first-party effort.
Yeah, I would. There
So-
you go.
And that's
Yeah,
one of
right.
the reasons, and third parties see that and they say, you know, we have a better chance of making money over here because, I mean, yeah, you know, they have the Halos and the Forzas and the Uncharted's and God of Wars and stuff, but their libraries are not nearly as deep as Nintendo. So we can get in where we fit in on the Microsoft console, on the Sony console. Nintendo, they can just keep dropping bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb. We may not have any place to jump in there. It's like you playing double dutch, you trying to jump into there, and you never get a chance to jump in. You know, it's just, you can't because you got Zelda and Mario and Donkey Kong and Star Fox and Kirby and Yoshi and Smash and Mario Kart and you know, they got so many other unused franchises out there that you can whip out at any time. Metroid, you know, it's really treacherous at best for third parties to exist on Nintendo consoles. And like I said, they're never going to come out and tell you the truth because, like I said, the investors, you know, they're like, well, if we're not going to make no money, we'll just take our money over here. They have to make it seem like they're trying, but in actuality, they're not.
Let me jump into that really quick. I think what you said, D2K, is phenomenal. There's only one issue that I have with these developers, or what I hear in respects to the difficulty it is for these developers to port a game to Nintendo's system. These developers have a skill when it comes to developing games, right?
Mm-hmm.
I realized that these developers, that difficulty is not as difficult as us gamers, because we have, I'll give you an example. These are the developers, right? See if the Metal Gear Solid game will come out. And they'll say, hey, we'll have it on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, but this game will be hard to port because it's difficult to develop for. Meanwhile, these same developers will be able to develop Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain, 360, and the PlayStation 3. These are consoles, right, that came out in 2006, and Metal Gear Solid 5 came out in 2015, gen game. They developed this game, and anybody who knows the specs of the 360, I think it had like 512 megabytes of memory, and you know, it's old.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, we can't get that game that they can put on the Xbox 360, a game that is a console that is 11 years old. We can't get that on the Nintendo Switch.
You want to know why? Well, for one thing, you know, some of those games, you know, were, you know, you got some multiplats on Wii U because the architecture of the Wii U and the Xbox 360 were very similar. They're virtually identical. I mean, obviously the Wii U is more powerful. But again, it goes back to the money issue. They can do it. But like I said before, you're not going to get a third party or Nintendo or Microsoft or Sony to come out and tell you the truth because they have investors. These are publicly traded companies, and they cannot come out and tell you what's really going on because if they do, they will lose money.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they should. All I'm saying is that consumers at the same time are able to put two and two together. Like, we can have this discussion right now, and you can articulate yourself the way you are, D2K, and know the difference. So the company doesn't have to tell you what you already know because you can see it through the actions.
Right.
And that's what I mean about when I hear about developers having such a hard time. They're not having a hard time. It's more than not being able to port the game. It is a financial issue. It is a risk issue. It's not a development issue. No way in the world it's a development issue. Because if you can make those games, no matter the architecture, right? Just raw hardware specs. If you're able to take that Fox engine and make that game on a console that's 11 years old, no matter the architecture of the Switch, just based on raw power, you can push that through, and they don't. And it's because of finances, like you said.
And I go so far, Jedi Knight, to add this one. Look what they did, and that's why I say that it's more to me. Is money, is investment. Is are you gonna make back what you're putting in? Look what they did. What Capcom did with Resident Evil. What was that game on the 3DS?
Revelation.
Now, if you ever played the game on the 3DS, I promise you, I wouldn't have thought that game, from my limited understanding of how architecture work and how these developers say what they can and can't do, I would have swore that game wouldn't have been able to play and look that good on that device. But it did. It didn't look any less. I didn't feel like you was playing anything less than what you was playing on the Wii U when they brought it over there.
Well, see, I have some pushback to that in this sense. What is the install base of the Xbox 360?
No, I'm just talking about.
Let me no. Answer the question, please. What is the install base of the Xbox?
Like 90 million.
Okay, what is the install base of the Nintendo Switch?
I think 170 million or something like that, right?
The Switch?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking the 3DS.
No.
The Switch is what, like
about 4?
Right.
Oh.
The thing is that it's not that they can't develop these games. It is the fact that it costs a lot of money and time to develop these games in order to fit on inferior hardware. It can be done, but it's not like you could just flip a switch and it's done. It takes time to do that. You can't just take the game as it is that's meant for games that are using different architectures and different power levels and then just drop it onto an inferior console and say, just go. There's a lot of work that goes into scaling that game down and basically getting it to a point where it looks good, but doesn't look so inferior that it's not even worth it. But all that money that they spend on manpower and resources to do this, they know they're going to make it back because of the install base and size of consoles like the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. They know they're not going to make that money back on the Wii U. They're not going to make that money back on the Switch. That's where the differentiation lies. So, they're not going to make the money worth the work.
Okay, well, let me ask this then. Because I agree, but I had one pushback. It ain't that I don't agree with you, but then how do we explain when they make games for a new platform like, okay, the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 had those user bases, but the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One didn't. And they still got those games when they had 2-3 million people owning the platform, or the Xbox One X would get all those games, even though nobody has even bought it yet. The PlayStation 4 Pro would get those games, even though it's not selling nowhere near close to what the PlayStation 4 is selling. They still have that game ready to go for those platforms. So it's like third party is helping secure Xbox or Microsoft, or helping secure Sony the fan base they need by ensuring that the game is going to be there for knowledge. You don't have to wonder if the game is coming. You know it's coming. You know you're going to get Call of Duty. You know you're going to get Battlefield. You know you're going to get the Tomb Raiders and the Gears of War, not the Gears of Wars, but the Grand Theft Autos and all the stuff third party does. They are ensuring that fan base to migrate over because they're already ensuring that the game is going to be there. Whereas with Nintendo, is always dependent on if the fan base will be there.
Well,
so it's
the reason why is because they know how much those previous editions or iterations of those franchise sold on the last console. Conversely, when you look at the Switch, you see companies like Ubisoft coming out and saying, boy, we can't wait for the Switch to come out. We can't wait to do this, can't wait to do that. Why? Because they're thinking about games that they did well on the Wii and the Wii U. When it comes to third parties that are excited about the Switch, these are companies that have had success with Nintendo. And before Nera Switch was sold, you had third parties coming out saying that they were excited about the Switch, didn't you?
Yeah.
because they were going off of what they did on previous Nintendo consoles. But the vast majority of third parties don't make money on Nintendo consoles, so they are going to go by what they've done on previous Microsoft and Sony consoles. So they know that Call of Duty is going to sell on the Xbox One before it even launches. They know that Call of Duty is going to sell on a PlayStation 4 before it even launches. They don't have to ask questions or worry about whether or not it's going to sell, because they know that those people who own those previous consoles are going to buy the new ones and are going to buy the new iterations of the game. Who's not going to buy Grand Theft Auto on the new consoles that didn't buy the last ones on the previous console? It doesn't make any sense. But the same logic plays for Nintendo. The third-party games that actually do well on the Nintendo consoles, and there's very few, and a lot of them come from Ubisoft, that's the reason why they are excited, because they know that they are going to make their money.
Okay. Well, let me say, and this is going to pull over to the other conversation. So K-Bum, I know you've been quiet for a minute, so you need to go ahead and unmute your mic. But I would say I agree, but I feel like third party they created that space and that environment that they know that they can predict it because they created it. Meaning at one point in time, they couldn't predict that they would sell on Sony platform. They gambled until they can predict it. Where you could have did the exact same thing if you would made those games available on a Nintendo platform and you didn't have to guess by this particular time. I'm pretty sure they can predict success on the Nintendo platform, but because you're so used to not knowing or left in the fluctuating possibility or non-possibility of the game coming, then when it show up, it's either like Jedi Knight said, it's either too late, it's either gimped, it's either missing, it's something that's putting it at a disadvantage to where it cannot sell. It's never on what this guy was saying. It's never parity with the other iterations.
That doesn't work either, because go ahead, Jedi.
Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. I think you guys both bring up some solid points. Here's my take on it, my opinion. I think what has occurred is Nintendo being a first-party company when it comes to software as well. The third-party developers can easily develop for the Xbox and the PlayStation, because for the most part those consoles are dedicated third-party consoles, meaning that the overwhelming majority of games that are released on those consoles are third-party games, right? This is their realm. When they release on a Nintendo console, D2K has a point. They have to compete with that.
Yeah.
And they don't want to have to compete with other third parties and then have to compete with Nintendo's own IPs. And even if it was a situation where, well, the Nintendo Switch, so I can make it crystal clear, Nintendo Switch can play these games, every last one of them, engines and all. The third parties, when they make their money on these third-party consoles, they don't want to waste their profits on taking losses or possible losses on Nintendo's platform. And at the end of the day, it's business, and they're not gonna take that risk, especially if they're eaten from Microsoft and Sony. There's no reason in the world why Nintendo should not have a Call of Duty game. There is no reason for it, but yet it exists. And the only difference that I can see is that 2 of those consoles are third-party consoles, and 1 is a first-party oriented console. My bad, D2K, you can go ahead.
No, I agree completely, and I said this before also, and to Levelhead's point about how third parties have basically created an atmosphere or culture to survive in. Well, they really didn't have a choice. They had to do that in order to survive. But how this started off with the original PlayStation is that Sony published all of the third-party games on the the original PlayStation. You look at the top 10 to 15 best-selling games on the original PlayStation, the vast majority of them are third parties, and the vast majority of are published by Sony, meaning that Sony got the checkbook out and said, we will pay you to put your third-party games on our console.
Right.
Exactly.
That is what got the ball rolling.
Do that.
Yep, and exactly, and that is the only way that Nintendo can get third-party support consistently, is that they're going to have to pay for it, because third parties are not going to take the risk. They're not going to waste the money, and they're not going to look at Bayonetta 2. Bayonetta 2 was a great game for people who played it. I think it sold maybe 1.5 million, couple million.
It didn't sell near as the hype would suggest it would have sold.
Right, but guess what? That was all profit.
Sure.
All profit for Platinum Games because Nintendo paid for it. That's what they have to do.
I agree. I wasn't disagreeing with you earlier. I was just saying, but you explained it there. Third party has, over the years, over like a decade, has created a space to where on Sony and now Xbox and PC, all those platforms need third party. Whereas with the Nintendos and the Segas, both them platforms. So when Sega dropped out, that's when third party got their opportunity, because at that time, Sega and Nintendo first party led the way. Third party was just, here and there. Like you said, I didn't ever realize that third party wasn't making that much money on the NES and Super NES until you kind of brought that up. That was never a thought of mine. That probably explains why they were so relieved when a Sony came and basically gave them a no-loss opportunity by, not only giving them a platform to put their game on, but paying for all of it as well and allowing them to make money off their creation. And they all migrated to Sony, and we have Sony, what we have with Sony here today. And I also believe that Nintendo is comfortable, like you said. It's not smart to say it to your investors. It's not smart to say it to your fans, but actions, like Jedi Knight said, speak louder than words. Your actions say you don't care if third party come over here, because the very complaints that third party keep levying at you, you never changed with the last 3 platforms. You have not changed. We all thought, that's why we was on this podcast saying there's no way that the Switch, then NX, was going to be a hybrid console, because it will make it weaker than the competition that's out right now, or at that moment, is going to be weaker than 3-year-old platforms. And that's exactly what Nintendo did. So in the end of the day, it all says Nintendo is very comfortable with getting talked about, being dog, because it don't bother them. It bothers you, the fan base, because you, the fan base, is caught up in the war that generates all these companies money. Nintendo is happy that you fight. Nintendo is happy that you upset, because it makes you go buy 10 amiibos when, if they was doing well, you probably would have bought 2. So you buy every game to keep your platform relevant when you probably would have skipped out on 3 or 4 of those games, because you really don't play Kirby, you really don't play Yoshi, but because the situation that, right, because of the mentality and the psychological impression that you have in your mind about Nintendo, you are supporting Nintendo in an extreme way and Nintendo banking, because you, the fans, are fighting for them and they cool with you doing it. So to me, that's why I said you can't absolve Nintendo, because Nintendo got $8 billion of free, unobligated money. That means these people, they can, everything Jedi Knight said they can do. They can pay for these games and not even feel it if they wanted to. They can get these games, some of these games, on their platform if they wanted to.
Nintendo could have. They could have did. We were saying that Nintendo might have had a 3-pronged strategy of having a home console, a hybrid, and a portable. They could have did that and got third-party support and made all the games they were going to make in the first place, and it wouldn't even made a dent in that $8 billion cash they got in the bank. Not even a dent. But they didn't want to.
They don't have to, and that's the same. So the same thing we get mad about third party about, we choose not to get mad at Nintendo about. Nintendo doesn't have to, because they have us as a fan base that's going to allow them not to have to, and third party don't have to, because our fan base has proven over and over again, even though I feel like it's justified, because I don't think you should buy crap. I'm just being real. I don't think you should buy a crappy third party game just to support it on your platform.
No.
So they don't have to, because they understand the situation. I guess it's time for us, the fan base, to just be honest and look at the situation for what it is and stop crying, because neither Nintendo nor third party cares enough to change the situation.
Exactly.
And the first person that needs to make the move will be Nintendo. Nintendo needs to create a platform that third party has no excuses with. But then I don't think Nintendo wants all these third party titles moving into their space. I think they have a harder time selling some of their games if you had a game like Grand Theft Auto.
Yes.
Or Tomb Raider.
I've often said that it's only a matter of time before one of these indie studios out Nintendo with something. And I don't understand why Nintendo comes out with this new hardware and these new gimmicks, and they don't show you enough about what it is that these things can do to justify A, buying a device, and B, why third parties should bring their games over. They should have had all kinds of games that could show how you can use the HD Rumble and the Joy-Cons to enhance the experience of a Call of Duty, enhance the experience of a Grand Theft Auto, enhance the experience of Madden, and all these big major franchises. This is what the HD Rumble can do for you. And that will bring third parties say, hey, we never thought about that. That could make gameplay good at that. Hey, let's bring our game over to the Switch. They're not doing that.
So it might be strategy to this whole controversy with Nintendo and third party. It might be Nintendo's own strategy that they let us defend instead of calling them to the carpet. We defend them and
they count on you. They count on the Nintendo fans out there to go out and whenever somebody points out what they're doing wrong, they go out in droves. They got their pitchforks. They got their they got everything. They're ready to beat you down to the ground. How dare you point out things that Nintendo's doing badly? That's clear for everybody to see. But when it comes to things that actually can maybe change by you actually complaining to Nintendo, they won't do it. They feel like it's just they're untouchable or something. They're in this force field that you just can't touch Nintendo. You can't question their brilliance because of all the nostalgia and all the good feelings we've had with Nintendo growing up as kids and all the good experiences that we've had in Nintendo. We just think of them in that way, and we don't think of them as being fallible. And I think that is the biggest detriment to the company, and it's a detriment to all the companies. I mean, I think that Sony is starting to slip into an arrogant mindset too. But we could talk about that another time. But you know, it's just human nature. You know, after when you live in the world of yes, you have people saying yes, you can do this, yes, you can do that, yes, you're the best, yes, you're the greatest, yes, yes, yes. Eventually, you start to think that you can do no wrong. And that's what Nintendo is. That's what people who actually work there have said about working with this company, is that it is a very aloof atmosphere. They don't like new ideas. They don't like anything. They just go in there and do your job. We have all the answers. You know nothing. That's the mentality that they have at Nintendo. So it's, you know, it's
like been accused of that by several different developers. Yeah, I've heard that too.
But this is just people who actually work in the actual company itself, not developers. People who work at Nintendo in Redmond, Washington.
That's what I meant. They was developers in some of those, like some of Nintendo's own studios, some collab with Nintendo on projects, like Western developers collabing with Nintendo, and how some of the directors and the people that they had to answer to would talk to them and would shoot down their ideas, say their ideas wasn't good. All that, yeah, it's a true. It gotta be, where there's smoke, there gotta be some fire. You can't just say it ain't true. So I'll just agree with you. But yeah, man. K-Bomb, you got anything to add to
that? Man, y'all pretty much ran the gambit on that. Anything I'm doing is extending the conversation more than what's reiterating what was already said. So man, I don't got nothing else to add to that.
So let's bring up this last topic and hit on it real quick and get out of here. So K-Bum, I'll let you take the lead on this because you kind of sent me the video. I think it's either you or Keith Norris. The dude had a video where he was suggesting, I think it was Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah, Dr.
Had a video where he was suggesting that to remedy the complaint of parity, how about third parties make every game scaled to the weakest platform and let that be the base condition of the game. So no matter the platform, everything is equal and based off of the weakest platform. That way, no one can complain, nobody can cry, because if you get on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, it's all the same.
It's all the same.
Like, I let Jedi Knight go first and give your take on that.
Well, let me go ahead and go because I'm at to dip out after this.
Yeah, we're gonna dip out after this anyway. So go ahead.
All right. So like Level was saying is he said that despite of the power, despite of anything that any console could do, the differences that other consoles can do, we should, like Level said, we should go to the lower denominator. And so if this is, and what he was saying is 720p, 720 resolution and then 60 frames per second is what we should drop the games to, just so that there's no more complaining from any fan base and everyone has the same game. So I understand that what he was trying to rectify, the argument he's trying to produce, that the parity of third party, but I think what's lost in that is the drive from developers to make their game the best game it can be. Because understand that developers are not fighting against consumers; they're actually fighting against other developers to produce the best game out there. And I know what he did in the argument, that he reduced it down to just pretty much just resolution and frames per second being the issue of parity. But parity also has to do with the amount of things that you can have going on the screen and still keep, the frame rate. It's not just resolution. And so if you're coding to the lowest common denominator and you have another game that doesn't want to play by that rule and wants to make therefore the best game that they can possibly make, period, because to me that should be the goal of developers, to make the best game that they can possibly make while still being able to deliver on a platform they can deliver on. And the thing is that developers have their own internal vision of what that game should look like, or what is the best the game could be in their vision. You know what I'm saying? It's up to them. And once you stymie that, once you lower that to a common denominator, you lose on some of that innovation that you would have gotten if people would have pushed their product to the limits. And so, I disagree with him on making things the lowest common denominator. I understand that does get rid of some issues, but it doesn't allow developers to push their game to the max. It doesn't allow them to, get some of those innovations that we would have never seen if we didn't make the game the best possible game it could be. And that's why, from my point of view, I disagreed with his point of view. I understood where he's coming from, but I think you can't limit developers to just say lowest common denominator when there's so much difference when it comes to the platform that you're on that you can take full advantage of. So that was my stance on that.
Okay, Jedi Knight.
No. And here's why, right? And I'm going to set up the perfect scenario for him. The developers, they all got together, right? They said, look, we are going to deal with the lowest common denominator. And every single development company does it. What will happen is that the consumer base is going to find something else to argue about. Right. That's the problem. You see what I'm saying? Now it's about, hey, well, we have, the PS4 Pro or the S and the X, and then, Nintendo's over here, and they're not getting these games. How about if we do it the lowest common denominator? And then what's going to occur is once they do that, then it's going to be about sales. Well, we all got the same game, but, the PlayStation 4 sold the most, or the Nintendo Switch sold the most, or the Xbox sold the most. It's never ending. And it's because it's the mentality of the consumers, right? Also, if you do that, then what's the point of having different consoles? There is no benefit anymore. If everything was just the exact same across the board, then you might as well just say that there should be no first parties. Then Nintendo shouldn't have their own first party games, or Microsoft shouldn't have their own first party games. When does that stop? There has to be some sort of benefit for each company to have, or for each development team on a software end to have. When you start limiting and then saying, hey, 720, 60 frames per second, then there goes my 1080p television. There goes that person's 4K television. What about the PC master race? When they find out that they're no longer the master race? Huh?
Oh yeah, that's a big problem there.
That's going to be a travesty. Let me tell you, right? You don't want to do that. The intent was there. I understood his intent, but that is a bad idea, because all that's going to happen is you're going to end up getting Nintendo 3DS games, and then they're going to say, "Well, you said the lowest common denominator," and then the consumer's going to say, "No, that's not what we meant," and they're going to say, "Well, what did you mean?"
Mm-hmm.
Right. I agree.
It's the problem will only switch to something else. That's not going to solve anything.
No.
DJ K.
I don't even know if that's even possible to do. I'm not sure if gaming works the same way as graphic arts, but I know that when I'm doing a composition of something, that I have to do it. I should say I have to do it, but I choose to do it in the highest resolution possible. So if this is something that has to be blown up to a huge picture, it can, and it will retain its fidelity. And if I need to make it smaller, I can still make it very small and it still will look the same. But if I start off at a very low resolution and try to blow it up, it's going to look like garbage. And I would think that it would be more difficult for developers to start with something small and then try to add more to it later. Even if there was parity through all the different consoles, I think it'll be difficult for them to start with, a lower game and then try to beef it up to something. It's like when you try to remake an old game or you try to remaster an old game, it can only look so good. I mean, you can change the textures a little bit here and change the lighting a little bit there, but you still see that the tessellation is the same as it was 5-10 years ago. So, the polygon count is still chunkier. You see jaggies and stuff like that, but it looks cleaner than it did before. In order for it to look up to date, you basically have to do the game over again from scratch. So I don't think that would work out very well. And to what Jedi and K-Bomb was saying, it just does. I can't see the companies agreeing with that, because companies like, look, we don't want to nerf ourselves and handcuff ourselves because somebody else can't come up to where we are. Why should we have to step down into the lane that you are? We're way up here. We've done it already. We're beyond that now. You need to come up where we are instead of us coming down to where you are. I mean, there should be parity. It should be parity. Everybody should be making the best looking games possible across the board, not the worst looking games possible across the board. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, I understand what he was trying to do, but I think he should have put a little bit more thought about what he was saying before he said it.
Yeah, I would say when I was listening to him, and like I said, Dr. Feelgood is a good dude. He the one that used to thrash me in Splatoon all the time. Anyway, that goes without saying. But I know I didn't agree with him, even though I understood what he meant as a consumer.
Is that the level head down guy?
No, that's
Okay.
cool.
Okay.
As a consumer, it doesn't work because I didn't buy the PlayStation 4 to do what the Switch does. If you create parity, that means you kill or void out what makes that platform what it is. That's like saying, okay, parity across the board. Then I can't take do that mean now I can't take my Switch on the go? Because that's an advantage that the Switch gives me that the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One doesn't give me. So do you now cut that out too? Because then I can use that as a bragging point. Or I can take mine on the go. Like Jedi Knight said, you're not going to kill the conditioned mindset of the gamer who is ate up with fan war and fandom and fighting amongst groups. You ain't gonna kill that, not even with parity.
Nope.
So there is no killing that, because if you want to fight and have these arguments, you're gonna find whatever you want to find to argue about. Sales, I just like the name Nintendo better than Sony. I like the way the M look better than the S. All that, you're gonna find something to argue about. So to me, and Jedi Knight hit it on the nail. Then what do I do with my 1080p TV? What do I do with my surround sound? What do I do with my 4K? What do I do with the Pro now that is supposed to do 4K, but everything is being limited to the bare bonus system out on the market? I get the intentions, but an actual thought out process that makes no sense. I feel like D2K said, the parity should be, these developers should try to do the best that the platform can do. I feel like that's all the parity we need. Do the best the Switch can do. Do the best the Xbox One can do. Right. Do the best the PlayStation 4 can do. And I'm cool, because if you're doing the best, that means while it might not look as good as the PlayStation 4, I have all the perks that the PlayStation 4 have, or I have everything that the Switch will allow me to have,
right,
of the PlayStation 4 version.
And that's all that people have to worry about. I have said it many times on this podcast that I loved playing Call of Duty on the Wii because of motion control. It had nothing to do with graphic fidelity. The fact that I had something different in terms of control made the difference for me. It didn't make the difference for others, but for people like me, that was good enough. That is what we need. And this is why we need those type of games on the Nintendo Switch, but at the end of the day, like what D2K said in regards to business, it is what it is.
Right. So, like I said, shout out to Dr. Feelgood. Good, interesting video, interesting topic, got our attention. And we dialogued about it and thought we'd talk about it because I thought it, like K-Bum and Keith not being here, we all was talking about it. And it was a good video, but I can't agree with it, even though I understood clearly what he was trying to say. And he made his point clear. It's just, as you think it out and as you look at it, I don't think it's necessary. Like I said, I think everybody just looking for the best. You don't have to be the best. Just looking for the best offering on the particular platform that they want to buy that offering on. So give me Call of Duty. Take full advantage of what the Wii U can do, like Jedi Knight just said. Take full advantage of the Switch. Take full advantage of the HD Rumble. Don't not do it because the PlayStation 4 doesn't have it. So, because they already kind of doing that. They didn't take advantage of the gamepad.
Nope.
Because they didn't have to, because the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One versions, or the 360 and the PlayStation 3 version, don't have the gamepad option. So I remember playing Assassin's Creed 3 on the Wii U and then buying Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and they took all those perks and those pluses out of the game. And I remember not Jedi Knight, but John Shaw talking about how the first Black Ops had the gamepad functionality, but on the second one, they took all that out, and it made him, or they took out motion controls or something, and it made him not want to play the game anymore because you took motion control out. So it ain't always specs and how many frames per second, how much the resolution is. Nintendo had its advantage with motion control. If you take advantage of the motion control, that might make a lot of people choose that and 30 frames per second over 1080p and 60 without motion control. So it's just do the best you can do with the piece of hardware that you got. I agree with Jedi. I agree with all you, but Jedi made a really good point. That's kind of what I was gonna say. So
and this is why I'm upset that Call of Duty is not coming to Nintendo Switch. Had nothing to do with just the game itself. You know, like I wish it was on this platform, like in a fanboyish way. It was, I can play with motion controls. You know, I can play with the analog sticks, but I'm just it's more comfortable, you know, to play in that style. And to see that this is being squandered yet again, man, it's a damn shame. It's a damn shame.
Yeah.
Right. So I think we have exhausted pretty much all the topics. It was good to jump on here with Jedi Knight. Elegant as always.
Before we end it, just 2 minutes. What do you guys think about this Rainway app? I've been seeing a lot of videos this week that it seems like people are really moving forward with this Rainway app. Have you guys seen it?
Yeah, I would say, and I'll let Jedi know. You got something to say first, D2K?
I haven't heard of it.
Seriously?
Okay, the Rainway.
Nope.
The Rainway app is an application that allows you, and I think the community is getting it confused. I think they thinking this is an app that's going to allow you to play these games void of a PC that can run these games. But basically,
oh wait a minute, yeah, I've heard of it. I heard of it. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, I think it's cool. I think it creates another. I think this is going to be attractive to the PC owner. I think it's going to be attractive to those PC, what they call the master race. Be like, wow, I can buy a Switch and stream my computer experience to my big screen and have the same experience right there in front of my 4K 65-inch. I think it's going to create excitement for that group. If you don't have a PC, I don't think it does nothing for you. So for me, it's exciting, but I don't have the PC to take advantage of it. But for a person like you, Jedi Knight, who does, or D2K, who does, I think it works wonderful for y'all because now y'all got something that can stream your experience from the PC to your big screen, and you don't lose any quality. So I think it's a good thing. It only can help. It shouldn't hurt. That's if Nintendo, they ain't saying nothing yet, but you know how Nintendo is. They, to me, Nintendo see an opportunity to make money for themselves and block all that.
Yeah, and then they'll act like they created it like 5 years later.
Yeah, so
look at this new thing that we created that never existed before.
Well, you know, the NVIDIA Shield already does that. That's what it does. You can stream to the NVIDIA Shield from your PC.
Yes,
so Nintendo being able to
that GeForce Now thing, where you can take advantage of supposedly you get the power of a GTX 1080, stream to your device.
Yeah. I've seen that.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
Right.
But the prices are ridiculous. So
yeah. So Nintendo is smart, which it seemed like the dude that's developing this thing, I doubt. He said he's been in constant communication with Nintendo, and he posting like they show Overwatch, they showed Nier Automata, they showed a whole bunch of games running on the Rainway app, and he says he's in close conversation with Nintendo, and I would hope and pray that Nintendo would not allow this dude to exhaust all this time promoting it, working out the kinks, getting it running up, and then once he get it done, block them and say that we don't want that on. I will hope that they don't do something like that, but I won't say it's far-fetched to see them do it. But to answer your question, Jedi Knight, I think it's cool. I think it's real cool. I think it's another incentive for a group of people who might overlook, like if you could do that, and then because that could kind of be how you experience your third party, and it's cheaper, and then you can still get the first party experience. So if you got a PC, it works. So it kind of addresses the third party issue. So let's hope Nintendo don't have something under their sleeve that's gonna cause issues with that.
Well, I mean, it's still possible that Nintendo could be developing something themselves on that same line, because that's kind of what, if you look at the actual schematics or the patents for the NX, they were developing something similar to that.
And when we found out that they were using NVIDIA chips, that's exactly what I thought. When this was released, the very first thing that I thought of was, NVIDIA Shadow Play and different type of software utilities that NVIDIA has. We haven't seen any type of implementation. Like, how do you establish a relationship with NVIDIA and nothing that NVIDIA has to offer in that space for gaming they utilize? What is Nintendo doing?
Well, according to the CEO or whoever it was that made the announcement that the Switch was going to be using NVIDIA chips, he says that we predict a very long partnership with Nintendo. So it wasn't just a one and done thing that they did with the Switch. So apparently they have other stuff in development, or they plan to develop other stuff in Nintendo. So we'll see what happens.
They need to stop giving us those bullcrap chips, though, that Maxwell, when you have these, Pascal chips. At least we will be able to get a teraflop of performance.
Yeah.
That's another conversation, Jedi.
That's another conversation.
Can of worms with that one. But anyway, I think it's a good idea, and I think Nintendo will be wise, just for public relations and just for a sign of a new mindset, not to block this thing and let this thing be an app.
Well, they got a good thing going with the whole crossplay thing. That shocked a lot of people to their core. They're like, I can't believe that Nintendo would do something like this. That opened up a lot of people's eyes. Now you got people's attention. So now is the time for you to do more stuff like that while you got people's attention.
Yeah, this ain't gonna do nothing but cause more Switches to sell and keep you relevant. So if it ain't gonna hurt you, don't block it. If it ain't breaking you, don't block it, because it ain't like they streaming your games. They streaming games that otherwise they wouldn't be able to play on the Switch, and it ain't gonna do nothing but help the sales of the Switch. Yep. So I say let it be and let them do it. But anyway, that's all for today. I'm gonna let these dudes sign out, starting with the K-Bomb 20 still here. K-Bomb 20, Mr. Quiet himself.
Yeah. No, man, I was giving y'all a chance to talk, man. I know Jet don't get a chance to get on the podcast. Let my man handle his business. All that's good. No, man, but this K-Bomb 20, man, enjoying another podcast on a nice Sunday afternoon. Shout out to my boy Jedi for joining in to the call. Enjoy hearing you talk. I didn't get a chance to hear you say Mario today, but that's all good.
I got you next week, though.
Got me next week, for sure. Yeah, man, good for you popping in, D2K, man. It's good to hear your voice, man. We had a lot of terrible Transformers talk earlier today. You should have been there.
Oh yeah. Anyway,
well, there's all kinds of terrible things that happened this weekend, but I don't want to get into
it. Go ahead, Jedi Knight.
Yeah, it was always a pleasure, guys. I'm glad that I was able to make it this Sunday night, and hopefully we'll do it again next weekend. D2K, I'm glad that you are officially a Steemian. Yeah, man, it's a good look.
Ooh. Okay. D2K.
Yeah, I'm sorry I came in kind of late. I don't know what I was doing. I just kind of looked up and saw that it was on. I said, I better jump in. So it was a pleasure of always to talk to everybody, Jedi, K-Bomb, Level, talk to people in the comments section. Got kind of quiet after I said a couple of things, but still it was fun, to talk to everybody and talk about games and stuff, and hopefully we'll do it again soon.
Okay. Man, like I say always, I enjoy talking with you fellas. Jedi Knight, happy to have you on. Probably going to skip Thursday and do Sunday. That way, I probably skip because I think I got something going on this Thursday anyway. So probably just look forward to having our next podcast this coming Sunday. So I always enjoy having you on. You created a whole different vibe. I enjoy your the way that you articulate. You and D2K are good articulators. But anyway, and K-Bomb not too shabby himself, and Keith Norris and myself. But y'all two can sound like y'all gonna be on a talk show, talking sports or anything. But Always enjoy talking to you fellas. I always enjoy communicating with the live chat. This is Live and Leveled. I was working on our intro. I should have it done by next Sunday. Till then, keep it gaming. Deuces.